Coming at you live from Skeleton City. Today's video is on the VO2 Max. What is it? Why should I care about it? Why do you always keep talking about it? Is it really as important as you make it out to be? So here's the question. Can you do a video on why VO2 Max is important and how to improve? Okay, so first things first, what is VO2 Max? So basically, in very simple layman's terms, VO2 Max is the maximum amount of oxygen your body uses during exercise. And to really simply put it, it's a measure of your heart and your lungs' fitness. We all know the heart and the brain, well, and the lungs, but the heart and the brain are the two most important things in your body. So having a high VO2 Max is basically your heart health. It's showing how healthy your heart is. So basically, the higher your VO2 Max is, the more you can walk, run, ride a bicycle, play with your kids, basically the more movement you can do without getting tired. And the VO2 Max is measured by a number. So basically, in order to just walk around or maybe do a load of dishes or change the laundry, that would be a 10 VO2 Max. You would need a 10, which is a very, very low VO2 Max. And then it can go upwards of 80 plus for crazy elite athletes. I think Lance Armstrong had an 80 VO2 Max or something. So it can go 80, I don't know what the highest. I think the highest was a skier, a cross-country skier or somebody, and he had a 90 VO2 Max or something crazy. But yeah, so what's a good VO2 Max for you? It goes by your age. So you can see, I'll put up a chart, and it'll show, the different levels of VO2 Max in correspondence to your age and gender. So basically, you're looking to be in at least the good range of VO2 Max. You don't have to be in the superior. I mean, it would be better for you to be in the superior, but good, that's a good place to start is, shoot for the good range of a VO2 Max. And then how do you improve your VO2 Max? Depending on where you're coming from, if you can't even walk around the block or, walk to check the mail, start by that, just get out there and, take a little walk. And that's going to raise your VO2 Max depending on where you're coming from. But as you get more fit and your cardiovascular system becomes stronger, walking to the mailbox won't raise your VO2 Max anymore. So now you have to walk to the mailbox and beyond. And then you have to start walking a mile and then maybe 2 miles. And then you have to maybe do a brisk pace walk, and then that slowly turns into jogging, or you can, use other things like a bicycle or other ways to basically just get your heart going. So for me these days, my VO2 Max is so high. Basically, when I started this channel, my VO2 Max started lowering because I wasn't doing as much training. So for me to hold my high VO2 Max, which is right around 70, I have to do a lot of very hard, rigorous Zwift racing I'll do, or do a super long bike ride outside, or a very fast 5K run or something like that. That's how I have to raise my VO2 Max. But for somebody that's not at that high of a level, they can start with something small. Maybe some of you guys are why should I even care? Well, how does this relate to losing weight? Well, the higher your VO2 Max is, the more insulin sensitive you become. It's been proven that people with a higher VO2 Max tend to live longer, and they have less risk of heart disease, heart attacks, diabetes. For all the people that are can I do the sugar diet if I have type 2 diabetes? Well, we already talked about that you can do the sugar diet, but if you were to increase your VO2 Max, then even more you would become more insulin sensitive, less insulin resistant, and your risk of diabetes or your current state of diabetes would be far less. And then another obvious one is you burn more calories. When you have a high VO2 Max and you do a lot of cardio, walking, jogging, cycling, things like that, you are burning more calories. And if our goal is weight loss here, we don't want to be insulin resistant and we want to burn more calories. So having a high VO2 Max will help with that. And for the people that like to eat as well, when you have a high VO2 Max, you get to eat more food. You don't have to eat little baby portions because you're actually burning off enough calories that you can have, a decent sized meal. For the people that are eaters and really care about, not having small little meals. And ultimately, I've talked about the trifecta of health, being lean, having a high VO2 Max, and staying drug-free. Some people are just looking for the weight loss. They don't care to be healthy at all. It's a vanity thing or an aesthetic thing. They just want to be skinny, the end, and they don't care how they get there. And that's fine. You can do that. But what I'm promoting here is the trifecta. I want you guys all to not only be lean, but to live long and healthy lives. I always say I want to hit 101 years old, and I want to see all you guys hit 101 years old too. And the best way for you to hit 101 is by following the trifecta: being lean, having a high VO2 max, and staying drug-free. So that's a big reason why I'm promoting the VO2 max and why you guys should all be interested in raising your VO2 max as well. So yeah, let me know if you guys found this video helpful. If you think the VO2 max is just a crock and it's just a bunch of nonsense and you don't need to do that. And keep in mind, you don't have to have a high VO2 max to lose weight. I would say most of the people on the sugar diet are sedentary. So this isn't a necessity, but it is a helpful tool in speeding up the process of the weight loss. I know that was the case for me and my wife. So yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions, what you think about it. And until next time, my friends, stay bony.